On the Democratic Party headquarters to say they have limited hours this week due to the holidays. We do have a plan B, and that is to go to the Obama campaign headquarters, which is less than a mile away. We had somebody check that out just now, and there's nothing there. So there's a plan C proposal, and that is to go to Susan Davis's office on Adams Avenue. Mic check. Mic check. Hey everybody, we're here to protest President Obama's signing of the National Defense Authorization Act. If he does that, it's anticipated that he could do that any moment. He has not done it yet. And if he does do that, then we're going to lose the entire Bill of Rights. We're going to lose all our basic freedoms, fundamental guarantees against an authoritarian government that have been around for over 200 years. And this is very disastrous for our country, for our freedoms, and to exercise dissent. We wanted to target the Democratic Party county headquarters right here in Kearny Mesa, but you can see it's closed. So I think we will go out to the main street, Claremont Mesa, show some presence.
Senate Bill 1867.
Titled the National Defense Authorization Act.
Entitled the National Defense Authorization Act.
Sponsored by Senators McCain and Levin.
Sponsored by Senators McCain and Levin.
Particularly sections 1031 and 1032.
Particularly sections 1031 and 1032.
Carefully crafted to mislead the public.
Carefully crafted to mislead the public.
Will turn the U.S. into a quote-unquote totalitarian military police state.
Totalitarian military police state.
With indefinite military detention.
With indefinite military detention.
And can be carried out
for
something as simple as lying to a federal agent.
Something as simple as lying to a federal agent.
Senator Lindsey Graham said,
1031
authority to detain
1031 authority to detain
does apply to American citizens.
Does apply to American citizens.
Almost finished. It designates the world as the battlefield.
It designates the world as the battlefield.
Including the homeland.
Including the homeland.
American citizen or not.
American citizen or not.
Another senator also declared. America is part of the battlefield.
America is part of the battlefield.
Please contact Obama to veto this now.
Please contact Obama to veto this now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm proud to say that I am not a Democrat, but I usually side with him on most issues.
But we all know about the horrific parts of this bill, the National Defense Authorization Act, but I just wanted to go through a few things. Now we know that the bill passed the Senate and it passed the House. And it's on Obama's desk right now. He can sign it any moment. And this is a horrible, horrible piece of legislation. It's not just another bad bill that we see all the time. This is a horrendous piece of legislation that if Obama signs it, and pardon my hyperbole, but it will destroy America. This is the one signature that can kill this country. Why? Because it will destroy the Bill of Rights. It will destroy the Fourth Amendment, the right of American citizens not to be subject to arrest and unreasonable seizures. It's going to destroy the Fifth Amendment to the Bill of Rights, because that's the amendment that allows us to have due process and allows you not to have to incriminate yourself. It's a prohibition against double jeopardy, and that's all will be gone. It also will destroy the Sixth Amendment, which is our basic public trial rights, trial by jury, trial by your peers, your right to confront witnesses against you, your right to present evidence in support of your own case. That will be gone. It will also destroy the Seventh Amendment to the Bill of Rights, which is another guarantee of jury trials. And finally, it's going to destroy the Eighth Amendment to the Bill of Rights, which is a prohibition against unreasonable conditions of prison and jail. And it's also against excessive bail. And of course, if you're sitting in jail unannounced, nobody knows about it, you're not going to have freedom of speech, assembly, or press. So it's obviously going to destroy the First Amendment as well. Now, a lot of centrist Democrats say, well, don't worry, there's language in this bill that's going to save and protect American citizens. It ain't true. Don't buy it. A lot of Democrats, and we're targeting Democrats today because their party is the party responsible. If Obama signs this bill, it's their party who's going to be responsible for this law, this horrible, horrible law. One of the things it's going to do is codify some really bad court decisions that have been coming down since Bush was president. They're not really law right now. The Constitution is the law of the land. But if this bill is passed and signed, then it will make the horrible, horrendous decisions that courts have been making in favor of the anti-terrorism fight law. There's several myths that people who defend this bill say. Myth number one, the bill does not codify indefinite detention. Well, the very first provision, Section A, explicitly affirms that the authority of the president includes the authority for the armed forces of the United States to detain covered persons. It simply cannot be any clearer within the confines of the English language that this bill codifies the power of indefinite detention. Myth number two, the bill does not expand the scope of the war on terror. Not true. It's a brand new addition. It allows the president to target not only those who helped perpetuate 9/11 attacks or those who harbored them, but also anyone who substantially supports such groups and or associated forces. These are extremely, extremely vague terms. Obama has signed the bill? Okay, I can't read it.
Obama signed the NDAA bill on the 200th anniversary of the Bill of Rights.
No, not true. 200th anniversary was last Thursday.
Okay. So this is a bad report.
Yeah, there was that previous circulated before.
There's a couple things circulated, yeah.
Myth number three, these are the myths that are perpetrated by centrist Democrats and Republicans regarding the savior of rights by American citizens. Myth number three, U.S. citizens are exempted from this new bill. There are two separate indefinite military detention provisions in this bill. The first, Section 1021, contains a disclaimer regarding an intention to expand detention powers for U.S. citizens, but does so only for the powers invested by that specific section. More importantly, the exclusion appears to extend only to U.S. citizens captured or arrested in the United States. Another section specifically deals that the definition who it covers does not exclude U.S. citizens. So we're looking at a situation, if and when it looks like Obama's going to sign this. Now, I know Hugh just said that Obama's going to sign this. He had promised to veto this bill, but it turns out the very language that he was bothered by is not the language that concerns us today. In fact, Carl Levin, the Democrat co-sponsor of this bill, on the floor of the Senate, admitted that it was the White House who wanted the language that excluded American citizens from the provisions of this bill taken out. So the White House wanted the provisions that exempted American citizens from this awful bill taken out. Carl Levin said that on the floor of the Senate just the other day. So there is a huge myth that Obama didn't want this language in. Another sign of the onerous parts of this bill, two senators, Senator Udall and Senator Feinstein, tried to, they offered amendments that would take out the bad parts. Both of those amendments failed. After the House and the Senate passed the bill, Dianne Feinstein, while the ink was still wet on the bill, she offers another bill that would fix the first one. Well, if the first one is so bad, why did she vote for it? And she did. Why did most of the Senate, only 13 senators, did not vote for this horrendous bill, including Al Franken, including Bernie Sanders, and 11 other senators, including Rand Paul. In the House, the Democrats were very, very split down the middle on this bill. 93 Democrats voted against it, 93 Democrats voted for it. So we're not alone in this battle, but we are alone in the sense that we have been left high and dry by this president that many of us voted for, many of us worked for, many of us gave money to in 2008. Many of us are in groups that are aligned with the Democratic Party. We're here today to say the Democrats are not going to get off on this. They're the ones, along with their Republican cohorts, destroying the rights of this country. If the Bill of Rights goes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends and comrades, brothers and sisters, we won't be able to do stuff like this. So this goes to the essence of us as progressives and Democrats and liberals and radicals and anarchists and socialists. It goes to the heart of our America. And if this Bill of Rights is destroyed by this bill, things that we do in everyday life to take for granted will no longer be there. Trial by jury, jury of your peers, the right against unreasonable searches and seizures, the right not to incriminate yourself, the right not to be tried in a secret trial. These are all rights that we all know the history 200 years ago, the people fought for these rights. But the language of the Declaration of Independence was superseded by the Constitution, the language of the Constitution, which codified the rights of property owners. The Declaration of Independence declared that all men and women have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And then it was the Bill of Rights that came up from the grassroots. People back right in the new colonies, the new country, looked at the Constitution and said, where are our rights? Where's the right to a trial? Where's our rights to not have soldiers knocking on our doors? Where's our rights to have reasonable charges if we're arrested? So it was the grassroots. And I think we all know this. I'm speaking to the choir. We all know that the Bill of Rights was pushed onto the politicians, just like we have to push back against the politicians today and oppose this onerous, horrible, horrific, devastating, destructive bill. And thanks everyone for coming out.
Okay, I have something embarrassing to admit. I'm a lifelong Democrat. Now I know a lot of you see that as a character failing. And I got days I feel the same way. But I have to say we're here, frankly, not merely to protest and demand our civil rights. In a funny way, I think we're also here as environmentalists. You see, we're trying to save an endangered species. It's known as Democratus backbonus. And there are very few of those left around. Take a look at Obama. He seems to mean well. He talks the talk, he just doesn't walk the walk. He said he was gonna veto this bill, but he backed down. He said he was gonna stop that tar sands pipeline, but he backed down. He came into office promising a new day in America, standing up for the little guy. What did we get? More bailouts to the bank, and Tim Geithner, the head of the Treasury, a pinup boy for Wall Street. That's why I am here to try and save the Democratic Party. I'm actually a member of that part of the Democratic Party that the late Paul Wellstone referred to as the Democratic part of the Democratic Party. A shrinking minority these days, it would seem, but a very important one. Kurt Vonnegut once said, you know, taking a look at Democrats, you could carve better politicians out of bananas. And I'm afraid he might have been right. And we are here to give those politicians backbones. We are here to stand up to what that Democratic Party is supposed to believe in, the basic rights of citizenship. We are here to stand up for the basic ability to assemble and not to be fearful about being kidnapped and held in detention. That should be for everyone. That is, spine is not spin. We shouldn't even have to talk about this stuff. This should be undebatable. Where is the Democratic Party of FDR in this? This was a man of the 1% who came into office and developed sympathy and legislation to support the 99%. We have with Obama the opposite of that. A man from the 99% that seems bent on helping only the 1%. Where is that Democratic Party that I was raised in? We have these, there's a turnstile in Congress these days. The guys touch down, they spend a few years getting tenure, making bills, and they go right out to the private sector where they make millions. Just a couple of examples. There's an interesting article in today's New York Times about this stuff. Out of the 450 some odd surviving members of the Congress, over 370 of them are now lobbyists, on average making over $1 million a year.
That's a crime.
That is not America they're representing. That is that 1%. And we are here to stand up for everyone else.
Oligarchs.
This is not enough today. Take a look around. These are not bad numbers. But this issue is too big to let it stand alone with just us. We need to sit in. We need to speak out. We need to stand up for what the party of the Democrats are supposed to be, what this country is supposed to stand for. Freedom, support for us all, and not just that 1%. We have to make our voices known. No matter how small our numbers now, we have to yell louder. No matter how much they ignore us, we have to make our voices heard. This issue is too important to back down. Keep up the fight. It will not stop until we win. Thank you.
Do you have any sense of why you would do that?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's included in the bill. So, I mean, I can call and get a statement. I don't have a statement offhand right now, but I can call and get one for you if you want to know why she voted for that bill.
Sure. Authorization Act.
The National Defense Authorization Act
Will turn the USA into
will turn the USA into
a quote-unquote
a quote-unquote
totalitarian military police state
totalitarian military police state
with indefinite military detention
with indefinite military detention
and can be carried out for
and can be carried out for
something as simple as
something as simple as
lying to a federal agent.
lying to a federal agent.
Senator Lindsey Graham said,
Senator Lindsey Graham said,
1031 authority to detain
1031 authority to detain
does apply to American citizens.
does apply to American citizens.
It designates the world as the battlefield,
It designates the world as the battlefield,
including the homeland.
including the homeland.
He also said
He also said
people can be imprisoned
people can be imprisoned
without charge or trial,
without charge or trial,
American citizen or not.
American citizen or not.
Another Republican senator
Another Republican senator
also declared that America is part of the battlefield.
America is part of the battlefield.
Congresswoman Davis,
Congresswoman Davis,
please repeal this unlawful act
please repeal this unlawful act
and encourage our president
and encourage our president
to veto it forthright.
to veto it forthright.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So what?
I know.
Doesn't get to talk very often.
I don't know, maybe you all hang with a lot cooler crowd than I do, but I'm telling you, nobody I hardly know knows anything about this. This was slid under the radar. The mainstream media is appalling. There is nothing. I was watching all the channels trying to find something on this topic, and there was nothing. Even the people that are supposedly progressive liberals, such as Rachel Maddow, it took her weeks to even mention this. This is a huge issue. We got Obamacare stuffed down our throats for a whole summer of watching town meetings of people going crazy over the health care bill, and this is our civil liberties. This is the core of our Constitution. It's the foundation we were all taught in school. I am the last person to call myself a patriot, the last person, and now strangely enough, I have turned into a flaming patriot. It disgusts me, and I'm amazed. But this is America. This is the American foundation that is getting eroded, and it's getting eroded without anybody talking about it. Everybody's concerned about who won Survivor last night, but nobody cares that pretty soon we are not going to be able to speak our mind.
That's right.
We're going to be like all the other despotic countries that we talk about. We talk about spreading democracy while we erode it in our very country. We have nothing to be proud of here. We have nothing to hold up as a shining example. We are not anything to emulate. The American dream is a nightmare.
Right.
And only a few people. I mean, this showing is very sad. Of course, it's Monday and most people are working. They're working one of their 3 jobs, those lazy, dirty, unwashed, jobless 99%.
What's your name?
And I think it's appalling that this has not been given more media attention. I'm heartsick. Christmas. What's Christmas? Why can't we all go out and shop and talk about Black Friday like it's a media event, like it's news, like shopping is news, but we can't talk about this.
That's right.
I can hardly stand to wake up in the morning.
right.
I don't even know what country I'm in.
This lady for Congress.
That's all I have to say.
I'm Daniel, by the way. Nice to meet everyone. Thanks for.
Tina.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Hi, just good to see you again.
Thank you. Eugene.
Eugene.
Nice to meet you. Hey, Phil. Eugene.
Nice to meet you.
And what are the cameras?
Hi.
Are you?
I'm independent.
Okay.
I have a card here.
Oh, okay.
Okay, well, I'll just read the statement quickly. I have a copy you can take, and I also have some bill text for you to look at. The bill itself is about 1,885 pages long. I'm assuming you don't want the entire bill, so we can talk about that after, but let me just read the statement first. Thank you for visiting my office today and bringing your concerns to my attention. I am currently working in Washington, D.C., and therefore cannot speak to you personally. The National Defense Authorization Act passed both chambers under the regular legislative process. Included in this bill were provisions dealing with military custody of terrorist suspects. These provisions are not in any way intended to restrict the habeas rights of American citizens or limit the ability of Americans to exercise their constitutional rights. In fact, this bill explicitly exempts U.S. citizens from any changes to current law. Section 1022 states that, quote, the requirement to detain a person in military custody under this section does not extend to citizens of the United States. I share your concerns and would not have voted for this bill if I felt the basic rights and freedoms of Americans were being limited or removed. I supported the defense bill because of the positive impact it will have on our national defense, our local economy, and on our men and women in uniform. I appreciate you being here today and making your voices heard. My staff has related your concerns to me, and I will continue to keep them in mind in my work in Washington.
Would we be able to get some assurance from the Congresswoman that this bill in no way intends to incarcerate folks from the occupations around the country?
Sure. Well, I mean, the language speaks for itself, and I can show you. So this is Section 1022 referenced in there, which is referencing Section 1021, which said, certain people, excluding U.S. citizens, have to go through a military chain before they can go to the through the Department of Justice. What this says explicitly is the requirement to detain a person in military custody under this section does not extend to citizens of the United States. Now, if this were the battlefield in Afghanistan or something to that effect, it would obviously go case by case, but American citizens have habeas rights. Actually, non-American citizens in some cases have habeas rights. So I think the law is on the side of the movement, and certainly this legislation, which is actually pretty narrow in scope, would also be on the side.
Did that change from before? Because I thought before it was section 1031 and 1032.
I don't know which sections you're looking under, if it was the different versions of the Senate bill that come through before. I mean, this was the result of the conference. You know, you have the House version of the NDAA, you have the Senate version of the NDAA, and then you have the conference committee, which comes together, you know, works out the differences, and then produces a conference report. And this was the language that was in the conference report, which I was at the office. I don't think the president's actually signed, but this is the version that would become law if the president.
And the president has not signed it yet, right?
Is that?
I'm not 100% sure. Okay.
Is that available online?
Is what available online?
That the conference version?
Yep.
And where can we find it online?
Thomas. Yeah. It would be thomas.loc.gov.
You pull up, it's the National Defense Authorization Act. In the House, it's H.R. 1540, and that's actually the vehicle that was used for the conference report. So if you pull up H.R. 1540, make sure you're looking at the right version of H.R. 1540.
Well, that's the thing, because I saw one from the 15th, which is old.
Well, you'll see the one that's engrossed and signed into law, and that'll be the version that, I mean, assuming the president signs it, that will be the final version.
Right. I didn't see that as of 5 minutes ago. So is there some,
okay. Well, you can also go to house.gov/HASC, which is the House Armed Services Committee website, and that will also have.
And also, Congressman Adam Smith on his website has a summary of the bill as well. If you go to his
He's
site.
the ranking member on the committee.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.